All right. So this is our second to last session, our penultimate session, if you remember that vocab word that we talked about way back when. We're going to be talking about promoting critical and creative thinking. A reminder that we're recording. And today we're going to start out with a warm-up. So let me explain this warm-up. I know that we still have people logging in, so some of them will probably jump in the middle of this explanation, but there are 3 rounds, so I think it will be fine. So it's called Name 3 Things, and in a minute, I'll reveal the category. You'll go into breakout rooms and you'll have 2 minutes to discuss. I'll set the timer for 1 minute. And then when I hit the close rooms, it gives you 60 seconds before it kicks you out of the room. So you'll have a total of 2 minutes to discuss your answers, and you'll choose 3 things. But I encourage you to think outside the box and not give me standard answers. I'll be giving points for interesting and unusual answers. I'm going to set up the breakout rooms and then I'll explain it one more time to make it a little more clear. But I want to have the breakout rooms ready. And we'll start with this many rooms here. And you'll probably have people entering your room in the middle as people log in. So for example, so it says name 3 things, and the first category is name 3 things that smell good. So you'll discuss in your group 3 things that smell good. And then when we come back, you'll enter your answers into the chat box like this. So you'll put your room number, room 1, and then, for example, flowers, perfume, and cookies. I will tell you, flowers, perfume, and cookies are all things that smell good, but they're really not very interesting answers. They're the first 3 things that came to my mind. They were very easy answers. So you have 2 minutes. I encourage you to come up with some answers that are a bit more creative, and I will give points to my favorite answers. All right, I'm going to open the breakout room, and you will have 2 minutes to discuss with your partner 3 things that smell good, and I recommend you don't give me the answer flowers, perfume, or cookies. All right, breakout rooms are now open, and you will have 2 minutes. Okay, so for this, I'm going to have you put your answers in the chat box. So I have it, the example here, room 1, and then your answers. So please put the room that you're in and then your answers. That way I can keep track of all the answers. I won't be able to keep track of them through speaking. So Josiah, I see your hand is up, but go ahead and put it into the chat because it will be much easier for me to see in the chat.
I was not able to, I entered the group and I came out.
Oh, it kicked you out. Don't worry, you'll have another chance. That's frustrating. So 3 things that smell good, hopefully interesting and unusual answers. Okay, so let's see here. David has submitted for room 2, the smell of soil before it starts raining, flowers, perfume, and sugar. So actually we have 4, but I like some of those things. Lori and coffee. Oh, I agree. Okay, room 3, fresh coffee, freshly cut grass. Ooh, the soil after rain. Lovely. I like that. Yes, don't worry, Amali, we'll try again. All right, so I have room 2 and room 3's answers. I'm just looking for room 1. For this first round, we only had 3 rooms as everyone was still logging in. And I'll give it another moment. Ah, okay, room 1, baby lotion, passion fruit, and rosemary leaves. Ah, okay, so I have to choose between these 2 rooms, or 3 rooms. Okay. Oh, what to pick? Oh, freshly baked bread. Oh, I really do like coffee, but I really do like passion fruit. Okay. Room 2, I like your answers, although I see flowers and perfume here, which are not that interesting because those are the answers that I see here. Those are instantly come to mind. So that's why I'm trying to decide between rooms 3 and room 1. Okay, I'll give it 1 point to room 3, 1 point to room 1 because I can't decide between them because those are fabulous things. Okay, so we're going to do this again. I'm going to add more rooms since we have more people now. I'll give you the next category. And again, this is something that's going to go very quickly because I'm pushing you to go quickly. So you're going to have a category. The first one was 3 things that smell good. I'm going to give you the new category. Oh, Lorian, you have a good memory. Excellent. In your room, you'll have 2 minutes to decide. You'll have 1 full minute, and then after 1 minute, it will be telling you that the room is closing, and that way you'll have time to solidify your answers. And then when you come back, you will enter your answers into the chat. That's true. That is very true. Good point. Okay, I'm going to open the rooms and you will have 2 minutes. Oh, I should give you the next category. Name 3 things that live in water. Remember, I'm looking for unusual and interesting answers. The rooms are open. You will have 2 minutes. All right, I think the rooms have returned and I see 1 answer already in the chat. We have a total of 5 rooms. Patricia, I know you were alone for a long time, but hopefully you got a chance to talk with your group. Okay, so far we have eels, seaweed, and crocodiles. I like that we have different groups. We have 1 kind of plant, 1 kind of fish, 1 reptile. Room 5 so far has got shark, which is definitely something that lives in the water and is a little bit scary. Oh, shark is very popular today. I have 1 complete answer from room 1. We have partial answer from room 5. Okay, we have more of room 5's answer. And Molly, what room are you? Octopus, shark, hippo, and scorpions live in the water. Room 3, thank you. Lorian, jellyfish, kelp, and walrus. What room are you? Room 2, jellyfish, kelp, and seahorse. All right, so I've got eel, seaweed, crocodiles, shark, blue whale, octopus, shark, hippo, scorpion with pictures, jellyfish, kelp, and walrus, jellyfish, kelp, and seahorse. Okay, Lorian's entry is for room 2. So I've got room 2, room 3, room 1, part of room 5, and looking for room 4. Okay, I'll give 5 more seconds for room 4. Okay. Hmm. 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 Hard to decide, hard to decide. I think I have to go with room 3 because we have a saltwater animal, a freshwater animal, and we have little pictures that are so cute. But I really do love seahorses and walruses. Good job. All right. I'm going to keep the rooms the same since I think we have everybody in now. All right. This is our last category. Name 3 things that taste terrible. I'm going to open the rooms. And Nancy and Fatima, I see are just joining us. I'll add you to rooms as well. Oh, we have a final answer. Oh, night road. This is for your answers. Okay. Thank you, Patricia. All right, 2 minutes. All right, I think we have everybody back, or everybody is coming back. If you are just coming back to and you didn't get to see, Patricia added some answers for room 2 for the previous questions, which are good answers. Night rose, cooked rice, and roast meat. Oh, fermented milk. Yes, Kari, you're right. That does not taste good. All right, Josiah's got the answers coming in for group 3. What is omena? Fermented milk, omena, and thorn melon. I don't know omena or thorn melon, but now I will stay away from them because there are things that taste terrible. Oh, thank you, Kari. Group 4. Aloe plant, rotten egg, and burnt food. Oh, you're right. Oh, that's interesting, Rukia. I never thought about the taste of aloe plant. It's something we put on our skin, but interesting. Oh, Josiah, beetroot. Oh, bitter aloe vera juice and thorn melon. Oh, what is this thorn melon? Kari mentioned it too. I will not try it, but also mentioning aloe. Very interesting. So we have some debate here from Debating for Emerging Voices that omena is tasty when well cooked. Oh, there's small fishes. Maybe the small silver ones. I had a conversation about these recently. Oh, you don't like dragon fruit. Do I like dragon fruit? I can't remember. Rotten eggs and yeah, oh, quinine medicine. You're right. Oh. Oh, very interesting. I don't know that I can choose an answer. I like beetroot personally, but not everybody does. Tim says that thorn melon is tasteless. I need to find out more about this thorn melon. Either way, it's not delicious. It either tastes bad or tasteless. All right. I think all the groups are winners there because I learned a lot of interesting things. So all very interesting and unique, some things I never heard of. So this is just a quick warm up to get your creative and critical minds thinking, your brain active. Oh, Molly likes fermented milk. Okay. And Nancy agrees that the thorn melon is tasteless. Tasteless. All right, so hopefully you are warmed up. In our session today, we're going to be looking at these things. We're going to start here at the bottom of the steps. We're going to look at some foundations just to make sure we have a clear understanding of what we're talking about when we are talking about critical and creative thinking. And then we're going to look at ways to promote these skills in our students, in our lessons. So we're going to look at modeling. We're going to look at encouragement, opportunity, and then we're going to wrap up with a little bit of analysis, which is a critical thinking skill. So we're going to start off and kind of parse these out a little bit, critical thinking versus creative thinking. I'm curious what you think. What is the relationship? Are critical thinking and creative thinking the same? Are they different? Are they opposites? Do they complement each other or something else? What are your ideas? Feel free to put your answers into the chat box, or of course you can raise your hand and tell us your ideas by speaking them. What is the relationship? And go ahead, Amali.
Yeah, actually, according to my own point of view or perspective, I think creative writing has to do with your own imaginative, more of something like that. Of course, you are the way you can come up with things in a more creative way, imaginative way. I mean, but critical thinking, in my own point of view, I think it's about critique. It's about maybe criticizing what somebody else has written, or thinking more about what somebody else has written. So critical thinking is about giving your own perspective and even more about what somebody else has written. But creative writing is about now your own point of view and what you want to come up with in an imaginative way.
That's an interesting perspective. So creative thinking being very individual and about the imagination, and then critical thinking kind of in response to what someone else or what others have said or written or something.
Yes, exactly.
Very interesting. Thank you. Let's see here. Irene says they are different, so not the same. Lorian is saying that you like the background colors. Well, thank you.
Okay, can I also try it again?
Yeah, hang on. Let me just have a look at these. Critical thinking involves coming up with new ideas, innovation. Well, critical thinking is about finding solutions to problems that are already there. So kind of similar to what Amali's saying, kind of in response. Yes. Okay. Let's see here. Lorian, go ahead.
Okay, my idea was like critical basic creative thinking. They are different but also complementary, because critical is looking at something as it should be completely, and creative, it's also bringing something new. So if something new is brought and it becomes that it should be, like I'm thinking critical, it comes with balance, like life of everything. But creative is just something new, something new. It's all about. So if something is critical and something is creative, involves both bringing something new but also giving it life. That's how I can define critical and creative thinking.
Gotcha. So some differences, but also some kind of meshing together, it sounds like. Great. And Astine is saying creative is imaginative and critical is analytical, thinking out of the box. Very good. Yeah, I think that's a common thing we see. Modesta, I saw your hand up, but now I don't. So if you would like to speak, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to agree with the Mali's POV on critical thinking, but on my own, not sorry, creative thinking, because you have to think on your own. It is your idea which has to do with your creativity. But now with creative thinking, in my own opinion, I think you have to analyze first. Then after analyzing, you have to give facts and give supportive evidence. That is with critical thinking. But with creative, I'm agreeing with Emali's points.
It sounds like also you're kind of backing up what Austin was saying here about the analysis that's important with critical thinking, but making sure to support it. Very good points. Thank you. Benedict, go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
I think according to me, critical thinking involves analyzing and evaluation. Analyze and then evaluate. But when we come to creative thinking, I think it's just basically coming up with new ideas on something, having new styles and new ideas on doing something.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah, so it sounds like we're mostly on the same page here. Maybe we have some little differences here, but generally it sounds like we're on the same page. Go ahead, Josiah.
You said the same page. Well, I'm the creative coming up with new ideas. Basically, I just repeat what the other said. But I want to disagree with somebody said critical is coming up with new ideas, which is not. I think critical is more analytical and thinking critical, yeah, analytical and judgmental some points, judging your thoughts and other people's ideas, written or maybe if you're thinking not written, or your work which maybe has been written. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your ideas. Excellent. And I've got, one more thing in the chat. In critical thinking, one makes judgments, but creative thinking is non-judgmental. Oh, that's a good point, Lillian. So I was very interested in hearing these ideas because actually my understanding has changed a bit over time as well. There was a time when I thought of them, these are supposed to be circles, like a Venn diagram, almost the same at one point, I thought. And then at one point, I thought they were very different. And so it's kind of evolved for me a little bit. I have a visual here of one person's concept of critical versus creative thinking. So this is the critical side. We see a lot of like diagrams and some kind of figures, and we see it as black and white. Whereas on the other side, we see something very colorful and a little bit messy, not so neat and orderly. So that might be one way to think of it, but they are two halves of the same brain. Important to remember. This is also something interesting that I came across, this kind of, diagram, differentiation between critical and creative thinking. So we see kind of a strict separation, and we don't have to go through all of those, but one thing would be left brain versus right brain. When we think of left brain people, or sorry, left-handed people, right-brained, being very creative kinds of people, but right-handed, left-brained people being very good at things like math, sciences, things like that. I thought this was also an interesting way of looking at it. Critical thinking being vertical, so kind of going up, whereas creative thinking being lateral, going out to the side. Critical thinking being very focused, whereas creative thinking is diffuse. Something that Lillian just mentioned, with critical thinking, we have judgment, and with creative thinking, we suspend judgment. We're not judging. So just some different ways of looking at it. And then maybe one of my favorites is down here, critical thinking being yes, but looking to kind of argue and something that Amali mentioned earlier on, kind of in opposition to someone else. And creative thinking, yes, and. So let's add to it, expand to it. And I think that's an idea a lot of you were bringing up, kind of this generative aspect of creativity. If we look kind of at a common way of thinking about critical thinking, Bloom's taxonomy is very popular, very well-known way for us to kind of analyze or understand critical thinking, something that we've looked at several times before in our group. So this is kind of the bottom here, remembering. Once we can remember something, then we can begin to understand it. Once we can begin to understand it, we can begin to apply. And then we have this top tier of critical thinking where we see analyzing, which was mentioned by many of you with critical thinking. Also this evaluation, making judgments. But we also see creating. And so that creativity, creating, making something new is an integral part of critical thinking. So that's one way to look at it. I came across this diagram of creative thinking, which is interesting. It's a lot less creative looking than the critical thinking model. And so it looks at it this way. With creative thinking, we start out with the generation of new ideas. So we want to come up with many ideas, the number of ideas. So we want many ideas, and then we want a range of ideas. So many ideas that are different, a variety. Next, in creative thinking, we start to do some experimentation, shifting our perspective, kind of manipulating these ideas and looking at them closer. And then finally, in creative thinking, the next step up is to elaborate on these ideas, to build on them, to kind of add novelty, so to make them a little bit different and fine tune them. And then finally, we see this fitness for purpose. This fitness of purpose is looking at these creative ideas and evaluating and analyzing which are most suitable and most appropriate. So we see that even here in creative thinking, for it to be effective, there's some critical thinking as well. And so I think of them as being quite complementary to each other. They are not the same, but they are very complementary to each other. If we think about, recently we had our workshop on writing. The brainstorming part would be our creative thinking. All ideas are good ideas. We're trying to come up with as many ideas as we can, a wide range of ideas. We're not judging them. All ideas are good ideas. And then when it's time to make the outline, then we bring in our critical thinking and we start to evaluate and sort through these ideas, organizing and thinking about them. Whether or not we see critical and creative thinking as closely related, very different from each other, very complementary or not, and this is up for debate, they do have some things that they share. So both critical and creative thinking are require us to do some higher order thinking. So not looking for the obvious answer, not looking for the easy answer, but pushing ourselves to do some higher order thinking. We also find that there are a lot of open-ended answers with critical and creative thinking. While critical thinkers may feel there's only one idea, we know that critical thinkers will often argue because they have different ideas. So we have a multitude of answers, not just one answer. And the other thing I think that's most important is that critical thinking and creative thinking are both integral parts of a learner-centered approach. Critical and creative thinking both require students to think hard, to think actively, to question, and to come up with their own ideas and solutions rather than just waiting for the teacher to tell them what the right answer is and memorizing or learning by heart. So in that way, we often see critical and creative thinking put together. And I really do think that they build off off of each other. So creative and critical thinking, you may have noticed as teachers, comes very easily to some students. You may even notice this if you have children, that sometimes there's a child who just out of nowhere has these different ways of looking at things. But critical thinking and creative thinking don't come easily to all students. It doesn't mean that they're not critical or creative thinkers. It doesn't mean that they're smart. There are many reasons for this. One might be that in school, we are taught to follow directions. We are often taught to memorize answers. And so some of this natural curiosity and creativity can sometimes be stifled in the classroom. And students become used to kind of a very linear way of thinking. They may be worried about the judgment of others and kind of keep their critical and creative ideas to themselves. They might just not realize that those answers are possible. And so one thing we have to do is model this way of thinking and kind of remind students of this kind of natural inclination they have. So something that I like to do is do group brainstorming. This would be similar to something that we did a couple weeks ago. We're going to do this together as kind of a model. So we're going to imagine that we're in a class and we're talking about the causes and the effects of low grades. Maybe this is a writing class, we're going to write about it after. Maybe this is just a discussion class and we're kind of exploring. Maybe we're going to debate something like this, but we're going to be doing some brainstorming together. I'm actually going to leave the PowerPoint for now. We're going to use something else that hopefully will work well. I'm going to use the whiteboard. All right, so this is our whiteboard. Oh, except that I'm not. Am I sharing it? Can I write with it? Oh, I can, but not very well. Okay, all right, excellent. Anne is already on this. Okay, so we'll have our causes. We'll put our causes on this side and we'll put our effects over here. Okay, so Anne says lack of interest. Let me see if I can, oh no, that does not work. Other ideas, causes and effects. Feel free to put them into the chat or you can speak them out. So Anne, you said lack of interest, and I think that you probably meant that as a cause. Is it possible that lack of interest can also be an effect of low grades? Anyone agree or disagree? Ooh, low motivation. And Austin, are you putting that in as cause or effect? Go ahead, Lauren.
I agree. I agree that low grades is caused by lack of interest. Because there is the relationship between grading and then work, and then if the student is not interested to work, of course the work will be new. That means a lack of interest, it causes lack of interest give effects to demotivation. And being demotivated, is that the end result is predictable that there will be a low grade because there is no work, there is no motivation, there's no more of standard to work.
Okay, so this lack of interest will lead to lack of motivation. Great. Go ahead, Josiah. Oh, competent teachers.
Well, I would also say, as much as lack of interest can cause low grades, This low grades also can eventually cause lack of interest. If
Agree.
somebody continually gets low grades, and eventually he may lose hope. He or she may lose hope. So they affect each other depending if this a student gets low grades and is probably motivate another talks to change, maybe reading wrong technique while reading, they can improve the grade. But continuously getting low grades can cause lack of interest in a certain field. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think this lack of interest can cause low grades, but then low grades can be caused by something else and then lead to this lack of interest. Very good. Let's see, are students struggling to develop ideas fluently? I think you have that as a cause, Lillian. If not, let me know. Okay, struggling to develop ideas fluently. Okay. Incompetent teachers, yeah, is a big problem. No, low self-esteem. Definitely. There are such people. Little or no effort in revision. Okay, so like basically kind of lack of study or lack of effort. Okay. Students sitting for IQ. Oh, hard to keep up with you guys. Okay. And this is a brainstorm, Josiah, so all ideas are good ideas. Sitting for non-standardized exams. And I went over to the effects area, but I can't control where this thing goes. Fixed mindset. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
I wanted to respond to Austin. He said I was too harsh to teachers about my
I think he's
comments.
teasing you.
But to be honest, I once had a teacher in high school, and he really made me fail a particular subject. But the moment the teacher was changed, I really improved and I got the best grade ever.
So you know from
Yes.
experience.
Yes. I had a very, sorry to say, but he was an incompetent teacher in my first and second year in high school. And then luckily, or fortunately, I got a different teacher on my senior high school. So I was able to get an A in that subject at the end.
So a teacher had a big effect on you in a negative way and then also in a positive way.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right. I'm having trouble keeping up with you all. Okay. Thank you. Nancy says low self-esteem. I put it for cause, but she meant it as effect. Trauma. Okay, so because you are teachers, you are already starting to look behind these causes, right? We see lack of effort and we see low self-esteem or IQ problems, but we have these issues behind them, right? So we have things like stress, and we have here, Patricia has mentioned trauma. Negative attitudes, depression. Okay, so I'm gonna put, okay, I can't fit all these things in. So usually students will just come up with these very basic things, but they won't begin to look behind them. Poor communication skills. Good. That would also that could also be an effect, I think, also. Excellent. So why might, here we have fixed mindset, could be one of the issues. What can cause a fixed mindset? Why would someone have fixed mindset? Go ahead, Lauren.
Yes, thank you so much. A fixed mindset for a learner, like this fixed mindset stations can happen to the learner because, first of all, the lack of having the learning being not very well sculpted, very difficult, and even not creating a nice environment for the learners to grow, to learn. These are some of the things that can cause fixed mindset because it is too tough to the students or too difficult. So as students, we create something in the mind and says like, no, I cannot do this. And also because the learning environment seems to be a very toughest place to be. It's like, no, I wish I can go and then leave the school. Yeah, these are two things I think we can talk about it.
Very good. Thank you. Sorry, I hope you can read this. I wanted to put it in a specific place, and this was the only way I could do it. So a poor learning environment may affect this. It may also cause this lack of interest. It may cause some of these things here. Excellent. And I see lots of other great ideas are coming in here. Lots and lots of things. Low self-esteem, social stereotypes. Very good, Modesta. Lack of exposure. Yeah, yes, I think that can also be part of fixed mindset, right? If students haven't had another way, peer pressure, fear of the unknown. Poverty. Yes, I think that's something that is often, when someone is undergoing poverty, it's very hard to concentrate at school. They're probably hungry. They may be wearing dirty clothes. They may not have slept well. They may not be healthy. It's very hard to focus. Genetic. Yes. Bullying. Okay. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So I see we've really honed in on here. So if we were in a regular classroom, I would be able to write much faster than I can on this thing. But we see that what might seem like, when we first think about it, something that's very basic and easy. Okay, low grades are from lazy students who don't study, and they have some IQ or mental problems, perhaps. But the more we look at it, we might find some interesting relationships. And so different people will look at this differently. Some might look and say, this poor learning environment, which is perhaps related to incompetent teachers, is actually the source of the trouble. Or someone might look and say, no, this is all due to poverty, that these cause this and this. Someone else might look and say, no, it's this lack of interest. It causes the problem, but it's also an effect of the problem. So we really need to focus here because it leads to the low grades. And once they have the low grades, then they have no interest and they have no self-esteem. And then we get back to this. So this is what I mean by kind of modeling. I don't have to model it here because you are all critical and creative thinkers, and you are kind of modeling it for each other, and you're building off each other's ideas. And so if we do this as a class, if a teacher is kind of modeling this brainstorming process, we can kind of do some of the thinking out loud. We can begin to ask questions. We can begin to push our students and guide them. And we can kind of model for them what a truly creative kind of take on this is something that's both truly creative and truly critical. It's creative in that it's coming up with many different ideas and they're varied, and it's critical in that it's kind of looking closer and kind of digging a little bit more at each kind of thing. Very interesting. I think this is probably something we could have a full discussion about. It could be its own session. All right. So once we've kind of gotten our learners to see what we're looking for, it's time to start pushing them to go a little bit further. One way we can do this is through the types of questions. These are two terms that we actually have talked about, I don't know when, maybe in April. We looked at display questions and referential questions. But don't worry if you weren't with us or you don't remember. These are two types of questions we use as teachers. The difference in here is display questions are questions that we know the answer to. We know what the student is going to say if it's a correct answer. Referential questions are those questions we don't know what the student is going to say. We don't know what the answer is because there is no one set answer. Some other examples here, display questions. Who's the person in this picture? There's one answer. What does this word mean? What's a synonym for this? Does tea grow in cold climates? Where is Tehran located? These have specific answers, and we have, as teachers, an answer in our mind that we are looking for. These are great questions for checking comprehension and kind of making sure that we have a solid base for critical thinking. So we're making sure that our students remember things and we're making sure that they understand them. So I'm not saying that these are bad questions. These are very useful questions to ask in the classroom. These are great for kind of formative assessment, making sure that students understand what we're doing and that we're ready to move forward. Examples of referential questions, these are those questions where we don't know the answers. Different students will have different answers. So what are some differences and similarities between these two pictures? What are some different ways to solve this problem? How can an educated person help society? There's many different answers. The brainstorming we just did was referential questions. You came up with some answers I expected, but there were many answers there I didn't expect. And then the explanations were even better. These type of questions bring us to these higher level thinking on Bloom's taxonomy. And so we want to start out with these questions, but once that we see that students can answer these questions, that they've got a solid grasp of the content, then it is time to push them with these types of questions. Another way is through different kinds of activities or problem solving. And so we're going to do a problem solving activity here that is going to use mostly critical thinking, but I think that there will probably be some creativity in your answers as well. So this is an activity that has to do with being in a bunker. A bunker is kind of like an underground safe place in case of like nuclear war or something like this. Maybe you've seen it in like science fiction movies or something like that. I guess they're real. Some people really have bunkers. So we're going to imagine there was a big disaster in the world and you are in a bunker, but your bunker is not doing so well. Nearby, there is a bunker and they can take half of the people in your group. So I'm going to be assigning each of you an identity, and in your group, we're going to go into breakout rooms. You're going to have to vote and get rid of half of the people in your room. And you're going to have to use logic to do this. I'm going to assign you your identities. Each person is going to say their identity in the group and explain why they should be able to stay and not be kicked out. So for example, if you're a doctor, maybe you'll say, well, I should stay because I'm a doctor, I can save people's lives. Or maybe you'll be assigned as an artist and you'll say, well, even though I can't save anyone's life, my art will make our quality of life better. So each person will give the argument for why they should stay. And then your group will vote to see who they think should stay and who should not stay, not based on your personality, but based on the identity that you have been assigned. Any questions so far?
Is it about people to defend their personality that we have to think, and then we give reasons?
So it's not going to be about your personality, but the other part is right. It's going to be based on your identity. So each person is going to be assigned an identity. So based on that, whether you're a doctor or a carpenter or an artist, what skills do you have that will help the survival of the group? So you'll argue based on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Like, it's of course every person. I mean, the identity, you have to defend it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. And in your group, you won't have every kind of person. Oh, go ahead, Josiah.
The other question is, who's going to assign the identities?
I'm going to assign your identities.
Okay, okay.
Good question. If you look in your in the WhatsApp group, I sent a document to you. It says survival bunker game. I sent it at 4:58. And so I'm going to just tell you your number, and then you can look on the sheet and you will see what your identity is. And I'm going to assign it just based, I have the list of participants. So I'm just going to go in the order that is here. So make sure you're listening. I'm going to tell you your number. You'll want to look at the sheet though that's on the WhatsApp because it has a little bit more explanation. All right, so Austin, you're number 1 on my list here. Number 1, Austin, you are the orthopedist. And number 2, you are a carpenter. Benedict, number 3, you're a real estate agent. Celestine, number 4, you're an electrician. David, number 5, you're a wine auctioneer. Imali, number 6, you are a housekeeper. Eunice, number 7, you are a fashion designer. Fancy, number 8, you are a soldier. Jeffrey, number 9, you are a US lawmaker. Irene, you're number 10, you're a PhD in chemistry. Oops. Isaac, number 11, structural engineer. Jacqueline, 12, you're a fruit farmer. Josiah, number 13, you're a zoologist. Judith, number 14, you are an opera singer. Going back to number 1, Kari, you are an orthopedist. Number 2, Carolyn, you're a carpenter. Lorian, number 3, you're a real estate agent. Lillian, number 4, you're an electrician. Mitrine, number 5, you are a wine auctioneer. Modesta, number 6, housekeeper. Oops. And last up, Naida, you are a fashion designer. So I'm going to put you into breakout rooms, and your breakout rooms are going to be somewhat big so that you can choose from a number of people. Remember, you're looking to get rid of half of the people in your group. Let me go back to this. It's unlikely that you'll have 2 people in the same position. If you do, I trust you to work out how you are different. Sylvia, you didn't hear your name. I'm sorry. Sylvia, you will be number 8. You will be a soldier. So if you look on the WhatsApp document, you'll see a little bit more detail about it. Oh, Patricia, I'm sorry. Patricia, you are a US lawmaker, number 9. Anyone else? Irene, I don't remember. If someone else remembers for Irene. Irene, you're before Isaac. Oh, Benedict. Nancy, okay. Benedict, you are a PhD in chemistry, and Nancy M., you are a structural engineer. So Benedict, you are number 10, and Nancy, number 11. Kari, I definitely said you early on. And Teresa, I didn't say you. Teresa, you are number 12, a fruit farmer. Lorian, do you remember what number you are?
Yes, I'm number 3.
Okay, if you're number 3, then Kari, you're number 2, the carpenter. And Isaac, do you remember what number you are? Or Jeffrey? Then we can figure out.
Isaac is in number 11.
Okay,
I'm number 11.
Thank you. Isaac, if Isaac is number
Structure.
11, thank you. Then Irene, then you're number 10. Irene, your PhD. Excellent. And Rukia, you're right. I definitely didn't say your name. Rukia, you're number 14. You're an opera singer. Ah, Austin, you're number 1. You were the first one. Orthopedist, number 1. All right, I'm going to put you into the rooms and you are going to introduce yourself, what your role is. If there's any other details in there, you'll notice there are some details. Some of you are healthy, some of you have some problems, some of you have some special skills. And then you are going to introduce yourself, and then your group will vote to see, half of you will go, and it will be by vote. So you're going to need to use your powers of persuasion and your ability to rationalize. All right, so I'm making the rooms a little bit smaller so that we have a good number of people. I'm going to give 10 minutes for this so that you have plenty of time to explain and to vote and argue if need be. I'll give you a warning when there's only 2 minutes left so that if you haven't started your voting, you can, or if you need to do any final arguing, you can. When you're introducing yourself, make sure not to go on too long so that everybody in the room has a chance, because there are about 9 people in each room. So you want to make sure that everybody has a chance to talk. All right, I'm going to open the rooms. And I will pause the recording.
Everybody's like, this is a single survivor world.
So I know that Isaac's room did not get a chance to vote. This was room 3. He said it was very hot in the bunker. No chance to vote. Too many people arguing for their lives, which is understandable. And I suspect room 1, so when time was up, people from room 2 and room 3 came back, but room 1, nobody left until the last minute. So I don't know if it was because they were finishing the details or if they were busy fighting. Was anyone able to vote? Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point out that, you see, normally it's hard. If you're a participant and then you guys are supposed to vote, it becomes a challenge. So maybe if you could have appointed a leader so that everyone have shared, then the leader could guide. That would have made more sense. Yeah, because it became a challenge. And in our group, since it was a very safe place, people are very vulnerable to share. Who are you going to kick out and who are you not going to kick out? Yeah, but it was a challenge. So we're trying to do elimination and then time kicked us out. I think we had 2 that already were out that we decided we were going, but also time was not on our side. And we also had challenges with people saying that, why are you kicking me out? You know, it was a bit personal.
Yes, it might be done best with anonymous voting, which I think is hard to do in a breakout room situation. Yes, because you don't want people to know it's you. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Hi. Yes.
Hi.
Okay. At a point, I agree with Austin. At a point, I disagree. Reason: this is a worldwide disaster, and during a disaster, we don't pick leaders. Leaders just automatically come out and they start guiding people. So more of what you're doing on that moment. What is your adrenaline telling you? Are you panicking? Are you deciding? So that is I think that was the preparedness or the objective of this task.
To see who the level-headed person is. Interesting. So it is all in good fun, and mostly the purpose is to get you to do your critical thinking and creative thinking. So I think in some ways we can look at the, oops. I just made an explosion in my house. Okay, I'll deal with that after.
Are you safe?
Yes, I am safe. Something
You
is
need
now.
to get into a bunker. Get into a bunker.
Yes, where's my bunker? Oh dear.
You need some wine to cool you down.
Oh, I do know there's a couple wine auctioneers here. They're very valuable. I hope you didn't kick them out of the bunker.
I hope I can sing for you in the opera there.
Oh, you had 2 housekeepers, Imali. Oh, and you sacrificed. Very kind man. Well, hopefully you all enjoyed that. I'm going to move on as I'm afraid if we do talk more about it, we will have some fighting emerge. And also I need to get myself to my bunker. Once we have encouraged our learners, we have shown them some modeling of how they can be creative and critical. We've set up activities that promote this. The last step is making sure that we provide opportunities for them. So if we're going to be teaching them to be creative and critical thinkers, we need to make sure that they have a chance for this to shine. And so I think that the best way to do this is by offering choice, but also structure. I think oftentimes choice can be difficult to give, or on the other extreme, teachers may give too many choices without structure. When we give choice without structure, it can be very overwhelming. So if I just was to say, okay, now do a project. Well, what kind of project? Using what? And what are the rules? So we need some structure as well. So when we're giving choice, some ways that we can give choices is to have a choice in kind of the modality. Is it going to be spoken? Will it be written? Is it something that will be drawn? We can give a choice of delivery. If students will be working through skits or essays or videos or poems. When possible, letting students choose who they work with. If they want to work alone, if they want to work in a group with a partner, can make a big difference. And when possible, giving students choices of topics. Of course, we can't always give choices, but when we can, it is really empowering. When we're giving these choices, though, we want to provide some structure as well. So we want to have a limited number of choices, not all the choices in the world. Providing models of what success looks like, what a good example is. Templates can also be really helpful. And then also starting out work as a whole class to make sure everyone's on the same page before letting students go off. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Oh, I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay, gotcha. We don't have time for this, but you can access this. It will be, sorry, it's getting pretty dark in here too. You can access this. It will be in the WhatsApp group. I was thinking that we would have more time, but we didn't, which is fine. This is actually something that we don't really necessarily need to do as a group. This is a video. It's about 11 minutes long. It's embedded in the PowerPoint. So if you just click on the picture, it will go automatically to this video. Actually, sorry, no, we'll go here and then you can access the video. Oh, we can't see this. So what this is a video of a teacher in a classroom. And then there's some kind of guided questions about critical thinking and creativity. And it's just a nice example of how a teacher does the things that we've been doing. She has a warm up. And she does some interesting things. And then how she kind of embeds critical thinking into a regular kind of lesson. I think it's a nice example. And then the video kind of pauses and asks different questions. I recommend having a look at it. Another resource I wanted to include is also on the American English website. Actually, if you put creative thinking or critical thinking into the search bar, you'll come up with a lot of things. But something else that I found very useful are these cards. I think there's 50 different cards. You could print them off and you'll see one side looks like this and one side looks like that. And so you could, if you're looking for a critical or creative activity or a break, it has all different kinds of activities that apply both critical and creative thinking in the classroom. And then I also included this PDF link here. It's a workbook of creative and critical thinking activities. The first warm-up we did with the name 3 things actually came out of that. It's all printable things or different activities you can do. So if you're looking to promote creativity and critical thinking in your classroom, but you are wondering, oh, I can't think of anything, or I don't have time to prepare something, these are all ready-made activities and resources that I highly recommend. And finally, I want to end with congratulations to Eunice. She has submitted a successful project for the Certificate of Mastery. She sent some videos of using a song. These are the lyrics of the song. And she used the song to teach possessives. So she used the song, the students sang it as kind of an introduction and provided some examples. And then she asked students questions like, who does the dog belong to? Who is going to town? And so in order to answer these questions, students had to use possessives that came from the song. So the song was used as content that was then applied to the grammar lesson. It was fun and motivating. Clearly from the videos, I could see that. And also she had a really nice, clear explanation. I also want to congratulate Marima Mixed Secondary School in Laconia because there are 3 different teachers there who submitted projects and have completed their work for the Certificate of Mastery. I look forward to sharing some other great examples with you next week. I know Austine's going to do some observations this week, so I look forward to what comes out of that. And others of you have been in touch with me about things that you are planning on submitting. Next week is our final week. We will be looking at reflective teaching. This was actually in the poll we did way back. This was one of the most popular topics, but I wanted to, I thought it would be a good final session. So this will be our final session, will be on reflective teaching next week. And your projects don't have to be in by that date, but they do need to be in by July 31st. That is the last day. That will give me enough time to compile everything. And Austine is compiling things as well. And being able to get certificates prepared before I leave for my vacation. Thanks everyone for being here. I had a lot of fun with your creativity, your critical thinking, some really fun ideas and interesting ideas. If we ever have a chance, we can have a full discussion, maybe even a debate on the causes and effects of students who have low grades. Or perhaps we can have a debate about who to kick out of the bunker. Thanks, everyone. I hope you all have a good week.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Oh, thanks, Modesta. I will wait, Amali, and have someone who knows what they're doing cook it for me. I'm afraid if I cook it, I will have a bad impression. Thanks all. I'm going to go see what's happening with my power situation.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Mina. Bye.
Bye, Molly.
The line.